According to CNN, during the 1960s, King was a very divisive figure. The last Gallup poll to ask about his popularity during his lifetime, taken in 1966, found his unfavorable rating was 63%. This included 39% of Americans who gave him a -5 rating, on a scale with -5 being least favorable and +5 being most favorable.
During the 1960s, King was very decisive figure. The last Gallup poll to ask about his popularity during his lifetime, taken in 1966, found his unfavorable rating was 63%. This includes 39% of Americans who gave him a -5 rating on a scale with -5 being least favorable and +5 being most favorable. So as you can see, Europeans always had a low moral compass. Martin Luther King Jr., the man who won the Nobel Peace Prize for his humanitarian efforts that fought for equality for all Americans, was hated by a large number of whites. White Americans have always morally been on the wrong side of history, and this is no difference with their support for Donald Trump. Exit polls of the 2020 presidential election in the United States on November 3rd, 2020 shares of votes by ethnicity. 40% of whites voted for Donald Trump. 42% of whites that voted for Biden, Democrats. 12% of blacks voted for Republican Trump. 87% voted for Democratic. Hispanics, 32% voted Republican, 66% voted Democratic. Asians, 31% voted Republican, 63% voted Democrats. Others, 40% voted Republican, 58% voted Democrat. You see, the only racial demographic that voted for Donald Trump were white people. The only racial group that Donald Trump received majority of the vote for is white people. White people have a lower moral compass than the rest of the world. People do not want to own up to this and admit this fact, but it is fact that white people's moral compass have not increased since slavery, Jim Crow to current state. And this is evident by how they select and promote Donald Trump as president, regardless of the fact that he said that he grabbed women by the pussy, or the fact that he's been convicted of sexual assault in civil cases in New York. Regardless of all these factors, they still support Donald Trump, regardless of the 91 charges he is now facing in criminal courts, the so-called party of law and order, because white people do not have a moral compass.
Want you to pay attention. Back in 2016, Donald Trump won the election with 77% of a group you might not expect, the white evangelical Protestant vote. After 4 years in office, that number grew. In 2020, he won 84% of their vote.
The only way you would have not known or expected white evangelical Christians to support Donald Trump and white supremacies if you would have not known history, if you would not have known that the Southern Baptist Conference split was about the white church in the South support of slavery. See, you do not understand these things because they have deprived you of history, and you have not decided to go back and do your own history. If you did your own history, then you will understand that is the basis of their concept of white Christian nationalists, is that God has ordained or favored them as a group of people who should rule over other people. and that other people are you. So you should not be surprised by the fact that these churches and these Christians who are supposed to be God-fearing people support your demise.